Well, hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us here on this pretty chilly Tuesday on News 12 The Bronx for Local Matters. I'm Aisha McKenzie.
I tell you, it never gets easier.
No.
You go out there and you realize, wow, it's that time of year again.
Truly November.
All right, so let's turn to meteorologist Mike Rizzo here, as we're also on storm watch. So not only the cold, but now more rain.
Yeah, more rain on the way for tonight. So looks like steady rain could cause some puddles across the area here this evening. So expecting about an inch of rain for us in the Bronx. Let's take a look as that Futurecast sets our sights on rain starting at 6 p.m. tonight. After 6 o'clock, you'll see that steady rain push through. Could be heavy at times, leaving for some big puddles. This is not like the last storm. The last storm we had was more intermittent, which meant that there were breaks in between each round of rain, and not everyone saw the same round of rain. So it could be raining heavier in one neighborhood, whereas the other one, it wasn't. That's not the case here. I think everyone is going to see the rain. Everyone's going to see the moderate downpour that comes through, and it stays that way through the evening rush and into the late night tonight. So just keep that in mind. You'll need an umbrella as you head out and about for this evening, especially after 5:30, 6 o'clock for us in the Bronx. By 2 a.m. in the morning, it becomes more intermittent, where you do get those spaces in between the showers. And by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, a few areas of drizzle will be left over before it finally wraps up and pushes away in the late morning. By lunchtime tomorrow, it'll be much better. Right now, it is cold. 34 on City Island, 36 in Morris Heights, 35 in Allerton and North Baychester, Co-op City up Gun Hill Road. Feel like temperatures there are near 28 degrees. So definitely looking very chilly in the Bronx here this morning, and that cold air could bite if you're not wearing the right clothing. So make sure you wear that sweater or a jacket to keep yourself nice and warm. The satellite picture shows clouds are on the way. That's what we're seeing in the distance. That's first to come into our atmosphere. Second is going to be the rain at 6 p.m. later on tonight. High temperatures today only near 45 degrees. We will break down more details of the forecast in a few. Let's head on over to Jericho Tran, standing outside with News 12's Thunderbolt 12, dealing with the cold. Jericho, how cold is it?
Yeah, it's still pretty cold out here, so before you head outside, you definitely want to make sure that you are layering up. We've got quite a few commuters out here at this early hour. Take a look down here. You can see a lot of people waiting outside for the bus. We're at Flatbush Junction, so we've got the 2 train, you've got the B11, the B44, so you can see a lot of people out here waiting outside, and you can see they're really bundled up. They've got jackets, scarves, hats, and you're going to need all of them today because, folks, it is pretty cold out here. We also have like a slight wind. It's not crazy, but it is enough to kind of get underneath the layers, so you're going to want to make sure you have a lot on today. Just a quick reminder that the New York City heat law does require that between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. all landlords must make sure the heat is turned on to at least 68 degrees Fahrenheit if the temperature outside falls below 55, and we are below 55, so your home should be heated right now. If you guys are driving, you're going to also want to make sure to turn up the heat in your car. You might have to wait in there a little longer as your car heats up so you can have a warm drive to wherever you need to go. But we're going to be out here with Thunderbolt, checking how it feels outside, but I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Jericho, stay warm out there. Thank you very much. And new this morning, while the Legal Aid Society is asking the federal government to take over Rikers Island due to what they say is an alarming amount of violence, the city is now responding, saying that won't solve the problems at the facility.
We're going to send it out to News 12's Cecilia Hua, who has the story for us from Rikers and what the city law department is saying. Cecilia.
That's right, Aisha and Anthony. The city's law department says a federal takeover of Rikers Island would be ineffective, as a foreign agency wouldn't be able to solve the Department of Corrections problems. However, according to the Legal Aid Society, the amount of violence on Rikers Island is at its highest since 2016. They say the conditions in our jails continues to deteriorate despite several revised protocols. They're calling the DOC incompetent of running these jails and will be asking a federal judge for a receivership to take over the city jails on December 15th. In a report released by the Federal Monitor last month, this year there have been more recorded incidents of violence against incarcerated New Yorkers since 2016, and they often result in more serious injuries. The law department responded to the lawsuit by stating in part, "We will continue working diligently with the Monitor to achieve the goals we've set out for the city's jails to improve conditions for all who work and live here. They deserve nothing less." While the department adds that there is still much work to be done to improve our jails, they're proud of the work that the administration has done in the last 10 months. From Rikers Island, Cecilia Hua, News 12.
All right, thanks for the latest on that, Cecilia. And New Yorkers rallied in downtown Manhattan yesterday to demand that the NYPD release a report detailing a controversial gang database.
Yeah, the list includes thousands of New Yorkers that the police claim are involved in gang activity. But according to attorneys from the Legal Aid Society, advocates from the Gangs Coalition, and some elected officials, that's not always the case. They say children as young as 12 years old can be listed on the database without their knowledge based on association.
And now advocates are calling on the police to release a report providing the public with information that includes how the list exactly is being used, names of the alleged gang members, and whether collecting any of this information is actually effective.
The problem is that these kids, they don't know, their parents don't know whether or not they're on the database until unfortunately they come in contact with the police, come into court, and then someone says a DA says they're on the gang's database, and that can hurt them and not give them the opportunity to defend themselves, because by the time you're standing in court in front of a judge, it's too late.
Well, we reached out to the NYPD to find out when the public will have access to this report. They did not provide us with a date, but said the database removes individuals who are no longer active in gang activity.
Well, former President Donald Trump is set to make what he's calling a special announcement from his Mar-a-Lago estate down in Florida later today. And that announcement is expected to be that Trump is announcing his candidacy for the Republican nomination in 2024 presidential election. And that announcement is set for 9 p.m. tonight.
Well, the New York City Housing Authority announced yesterday that it has chosen new partners to renovate several buildings in Soundview. Residents who live in these buildings told housing officials what they need to change where they live. And the new development team will continue to ask residents about their priorities. Construction will come after inspections of the buildings and when design changes are finalized. Officials say they expect to start construction by later next year.
And in the latest efforts to stop the spread, we're learning more COVID-19 boosters could prevent thousands of pediatric hospitalizations and millions of missed school days. Researchers at the Yale School of Public Health found if COVID-19 booster coverage reached 80% among school-age children by the end of the year, more than 50,000 hospitalizations could be avoided. According to the CDC, fewer than 5% of school-age children currently have their updated booster shot. And getting to your entertainment headlines, comedian Jay Leno is recovering from burns after a gasoline fire. The former The Tonight Show host told Variety he was working on one of his vehicles in his garage when it burst into flames and burned him. The 72-year-old told the magazine that he's okay, thankfully, and he needs a week or two to recover. People magazine reports organizers of an event in Las Vegas said Leno canceled an appearance due to a medical emergency on Sunday. He's reportedly being treated at a burn center in Los Angeles. Glad he's doing all right, though.
Scary stuff. All right, well, the chances of a railroad strike have gone up after a third rail union rejected a tentative labor deal. Rank and file members of the International Brotherhood of Boilermakers voted against a tentative agreement reached in September. The union, which represents about 300 workers, is the smallest of 13 unions representing more than 100,000 members at major U.S. freight railroads. If any of those unions strike, its picket lines would honor or be honored by the other unions. That could happen early next month, and it would shut down a vital link in the nation's supply chain.
And 6 airlines are being forced to pay more than $600 million in refunds to passengers for canceled or changed flights since the start of the pandemic. Department of Transportation officials say the airlines are being fined for ignoring rules to issue refunds to passengers in a timely manner. Most of the fines went to foreign-based airlines. However, Frontier was the only U.S. carrier to get fined in relation to those refunds.
All right, well, if you are traveling for Thanksgiving, you might want to pack that patience. AAA predicts Thanksgiving travel to reach nearly 98% of pre-pandemic levels. Nearly 49 million people are expected to drive, and roughly 4.5 million Americans are flying for the holiday. That's an increase of more than 330,000 travelers since 2019. The most surprising increase, AAA says more than 1.4 million people opted to travel by bus, train, or cruise ship, a 23% jump from last year.
And the world's population will reach 8 billion people today, something the United Nations is calling a milestone in human development.
Yeah, according to the UN, that figure means 1 billion people have been added to the global population in just 12 years. The organization says middle-income countries, mostly in Asia, accounted for most of the growth over the past decade.
Now, despite the global population reaching new heights, demographers noted that the growth rate did fall steadily to less than 1% per year, which should keep the world from reaching 9 billion people until 2037. That's a lot of people. So many people to meet.
And you know, it's less and less space for all these people to go.
But it's a small world.
It is a small world. Everybody knows everybody to some extent.
It's a cold world too.
That's for sure.
Nowadays.
What's going on, Mike?
Let's take a look at the weather. We're on storm watch tonight as we're dealing with some rain that's coming through for this evening after 6 o'clock. There's snow over Chicago out toward the Ohio Valley, but rain outside of that. The rain is coming through our area, everyone, and this is all connected with the Gulf of Mexico, which means that the moisture is going to be ample enough to provide downpours. A steady rain for everyone after 5:30, 6 o'clock tonight. Have an umbrella handy. You will need it here across the city as you travel home from work or school or whatever you're doing later on this afternoon, later on this evening, I should say. The afternoon's quiet, the morning is quiet, but we are expecting about an inch of rain when all is said and done by noon tomorrow. So just keep in mind, we're expecting enough of a liquid, a splash here across the city, enough liquid to make for some puddles. Now, even north of the city, this is up in New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, there could be about a half of an inch to an inch of snow before it changes over. Fortunately, that's not for us, but hey, winter is coming.
All right, Mike. All right, let's check out our birthday smiles here on News for the Bronx. We want to wish a happy belated birthday to Andrew, who turned 11 years old yesterday. Your family says they love you very much.
And remember, share your birthday smiles with us by posting on Twitter and Instagram with the hashtag BXBirthdaySmiles, and tune in to see them right here on News 12.